Okay. I think you have a colleague in the audience, see if there's any trouble.
Andy's down the back there waving.
Right, so you might prime him on the way out, just let him know. Yeah, that's grand, Pádraig. Thank you very much. So call on Tomas Cooper now to talk to us. Is the energy engineer at Bord Iascaigh Mhara. He's going to chat to us on behalf of Island Seafood. And a great story, I think, from the northwest tip of Europe, all about brown crab.
No, yeah, there was a bit of a... I think this is a fledgling process. The brown crab was actually a
oh, my apologies.
Yeah,
right.
So, hello, everybody. My name is Tomas Cooper. I work with Bord Iascaigh Mhara, as Conor mentioned, on the Green Seafood Programme, where we try and assist and help seafood processors to reduce costs and become more energy efficient and more sustainable as well. Today I'm going to talk to you about Island Seafoods. When Mick O'Donnell, the owner-manager, asked me to talk about his company, first of all I was very privileged and honoured to be asked. And also I made a deal with him that I'd do the talk if he was here to maybe answer a few questions and be around after to talk to people. So he is actually here today, and so if you have any burning questions you can maybe direct them to him as well. But he's going to be around to talk to people anyway. I have no problem in saying that he's definitely the most passionate and knowledgeable person I've met in this area the last number of years, so please make use of his knowledge. So Island Seafoods, they're established in 1986. It's a proudly Irish family owned and run business. Mick's son Michael also works in the business as well. They're based just outside the town of Killybegs, County Donegal. They pride themselves on quality and personal relationships. And this is notable by the long-standing relationships with their customers. They currently supply customers in Europe, Japan, Africa, Russia and the Baltic States. I apologise for talking about food just so close to lunch, but their primary products are mackerel, herring, blue whiting, sprat, salmon, and they also do some trout as well. They also do a range of value-added products under the Atlantic Treasures brand. They do a hot smoked herring, hot smoked salmon, and they do a mackerel with ginger, chilli and lime, and also with rosemary as well. These products have won numerous awards at Great Taste and Blossom Heron, and they're really an innovative product for the Irish market. I suppose being a seafood company, sourcing and sustainability is very important because we're very dependent on what nature provides. So in Island Seafoods, all their mackerel products are Marine Stewardship Council approved, which means that every MSC fishery must demonstrate that they maintain sustainable fish stocks and also minimise the environmental impact on the fishing grounds. I think they were one of the first seafood companies to become Origin Green verified, and they also have a number of targets to meet over the next number of years, and very ambitious targets as well. They are also certified in Bio-Swiss and Natureland, which means that they are certified organic. I suppose this kind of whole journey started maybe in 1996, where they needed to treat their wastewater on site, as they weren't hooked up to any municipal system. So in 1996 there was a state-of-the-art wastewater treatment plant was commissioned, and there's a freshwater stream located right next to the factory. So this water is actually, the treated water is actually discarded to the stream. So they have very strict limits to meet from Donegal County Council, and they have reduced their BOD from 1,700 to 20 parts per million. And this plant is actually so successful that it actually treats waste from a number of other local companies. And Donegal County Council are quite happy for them to do that because they know how good it is in treating the water. And it's also a great service to these other companies in the area because it ensures their survival and ensures employment as well. So it's seen as a standard for the industry at this stage. So I'm going to talk to you about a hydroelectric plant. I suppose it's a very kind of a novel and interesting project, and it just shows, I suppose, Mick O'Donnell's vision in even coming up with this mad idea to put in this plant. So it was after, I suppose, it was in 2000, plans were put in place to develop this system. And I suppose after 7 long years of environmental impact assessments and planning permission, guidelines and meetings. It was finally commissioned in 2007, and it currently generates 700 megawatts of electricity each year. This equates to about 60% of the factory's annual consumption, which saves about 350 tons of carbon annually. I'm just going to take you on a small little journey now, the same journey the water goes through. So basically this is the freshwater lake, which is located approximately 2 kilometers as a crow flies from Island Seafood's plant. It supplies fresh drinking water to the town of Killybegs. This is the overflow spillway system, and this is designed in such a way that there's always enough water in the lake to supply the town. This spillway system feeds into the stream, which is located next to the plant. This little waterfall here, I don't know if you can see it in the top, there's a grill on the top of that waterfall, which the water falls down through, and it feeds into a pipeline. That pipeline travels, it's 1.7 kilometers down to Island Seafood's plant. There is then a valve which controls the amount of water which goes into the turbine, and then this water turns the turbine, which in turn turns a generator and creates electricity. And the turbine can actually automatically adjust its vanes so it gets the maximum efficiency out of the water coming into it. And the water is actually returned to the stream from which it came. So it was a really kind of exciting and novel project. It was definitely one of the first I've seen anyway, and I don't think there's too many more of them in the country. But it just showed great vision from Mick to put in this plant, and it's highly successful. So I suppose following on from that, they then started looking maybe inwards into the plant, and the start of this was to put in an electricity monitoring and recording system. And this started to measure the significant energy users within the plant. And again, as mentioned earlier, refrigeration is a huge user of electricity in any food processor. It's about 65% of the usage in Island Seafoods. But by putting in this system, they were able to target certain areas and the significant energy users within the plant. This then was used to generate key performance indicators within the plant. And they now have the ability to track the kilowatt hour per ton of fish processed and also a kilogram of ice produced. I suppose a lot of time when people put in these electricity monitoring systems, you can kind of like get a lot of data, and it can be a bit overwhelming at times, but I know it's set up in such a way and that Mick keeps a very close eye on it, on his KPIs, and it generates weekly and monthly reports, so he's on top of it all the time. There's no point putting in these systems if they're just left to run in the background and nobody actually reads what they're giving out. So based on the electricity data, there are a number of projects which were completed. They replaced an electrical fan with a water-cooled condenser for their condensing system. Saved approximately 34.5 megawatt hours per year. Cold stores and blast freezers were heat tested using thermal imaging. And it actually showed up a number of discrepancies in the fabric and in where the insulation was leaking coal air. So these were further insulated to decrease the losses, and this saved about 20 megawatt hours per year. They fitted a soft start motor to their main blast freezer compressor. There wasn't a huge saving in this electricity-wise, 5 megawatt hours per year, but Mick did notice a huge reduction in maintenance costs and also maintenance downtime. So there was a big benefit in that. They also maximised natural daylighting throughout the site using skylights. They put in a lot of low energy lighting and installed occupancy sensors in some areas as well. There was another project as well which they're currently involved in, is they're installing an air to water heat pump for hot water for the hand washing sinks. And they're actually going to use the hot air which is generated by the refrigeration system to feed this air water heat pump, which is a really good project as well. They're also part of a scheme where their flexible load is available to be reduced when the electrical grid is under strain. So when I talk about flexible load, I maybe talk about a cold store where you can, where the grid might if you're up part of the scheme, the grid might ask you to maybe turn it off for an hour or two a few times over the course of a year. And if you know this is coming, you can ramp up the cold store small bit beforehand and turn it off while the grid is under pressure, and then turn it on again when it's not. And you're actually paid a capacity payment from the national grid to do this as well. They also purchase electricity on the open market to avail of day-ahead pricing and to get the best price for electricity. Staff engagement, which is really, I suppose, an important part of any kind of sustainability plan. Green projects and progress are discussed at all monthly team meetings. Staff at all levels are actively encouraged and to come forward with ideas for improvement, not just on the green side, but in production efficiencies as well. And this process has led to staff taking a huge interest in certain initiatives and actually taking ownership of these initiatives and being firmly involved and ingrained in these projects. And I have visited the plant a few times, and it really does seem like a great place to work. It seems like a small community more than a factory, that everyone is just pulling together towards a common goal. And I know they don't see Mick as a boss as such, they see him as a friend, so it really looks like a great place to work. So just talking, if you move on to waste, all byproducts from filleted fish is deboned and frozen and sent for rendering for fish meal and pet food. 20 tonne of cardboard is baled on site and recycled. They also compact, sorry the slide has gone a bit wonky there, but they also compact all the polystyrene on site, and they actually send this compacted polystyrene out to a recycling manufacturer to create picture frames. So there's very little actually waste to landfill on site. They try to reuse everything as much as possible. Rainwater harvesting, I just want to put in a couple of pictures of this. Sometimes we can hear about these maybe expensive systems of rainwater harvesting, but this is a very simple idea, putting a fish bin underneath a down pipe, and I suppose with all the rain you get in Donegal, they get plenty of water, and this water is used to wash the trucks and the vans in the yard as well. Again, I suppose it just shows the mentality that nothing is wasted, and they try to use everything to its maximum. And it's a great little initiative, and it doesn't cost anything. So we hear a lot about social sustainability now as well, and it's part of Origin Green. You're involved in the community and so on. And Island Seafoods are very active in their community and support of host and local organisations from GAA, rowing and so on. Between 1996 and 2010, they were part of a scheme where they donated 4 tonnes per year to families affected by the Chernobyl disaster. And they also organised the collection of a lot of more seafood from some of the processors in Killybegs, and again they distributed it to the families that were affected by this. So it was a great initiative, and I suppose it was giving back to people in need. So with a firm focus on education, I know Mick hosts a number of school tours every year for students who are very eager to learn more about renewable energy and his hydroelectric plant, and even efficiencies within the plant as well. I know they're always great to involve the community and educate the youth of tomorrow in sustainability, and it's a great scheme. So the future plans, I suppose a lot of companies and people would be maybe happy enough with what they've done so far, but Mick O'Donnell has a vision to become carbon neutral, and with this in mind, they have recently been granted planning permission for a 500 kilowatt wind turbine to be installed on site, and this is hoped to be installed in 2016. And again, this is a great initiative, and it's always about, I suppose, sustainability is a journey rather than an end, so it's always looking for the next thing to do and the next thing and the next thing. And this is the next project, hopefully it'll be up and running maybe next year. I suppose within BIM, Bordish Gawara, we kind of recognise that a lot of seafood companies are doing a lot of good work in this area, so we tried to get them some recognition. So what we did earlier on this year, actually, we sponsored a Green Seafood Award at the National Green Awards, specifically for seafood companies. And I suppose it wasn't a huge surprise when Island Seafoods were crowned Green Seafood Business of the Year. But not only that, I suppose it was a big surprise when they were actually awarded the actual National Green Business of the Year. And this was a brilliant win for them. And he actually beat off a lot of multinational companies with a lot more, I suppose, budgets and so on, and numerous people working on it. So it was a great win for Island Seafoods, and I think seafood in general, because usually we don't get the profile or the media attention of some of the meat and dairy guys, so it was great to see seafood up there competing on sustainability. And actually I think it was only 3 weeks ago at the National Board BA Food and Drink Awards, they were also awarded another sustainability award, so they're a multi-award winning company in the areas of sustainability now, which is absolutely brilliant. So I just suppose in summary, sustainability has been at the core of the business from the very outset, but that is seen by Mick himself, who had a passion for sustainability anyway. Obviously had the management buy-in from Mick, but you don't always get that management buy-in in a lot of companies, but it is very important to get that, so the correct resources and time can be assigned to sustainability projects. Obviously sustainability is great, but it has to make financial sense as well, and Island Seafoods have reaped the rewards of generating their own electricity, and obviously have saved numerous amounts of money by introducing the efficiencies within the plant as well. Staff engagement has been very important, and you can see that they're really taking ownership of these projects, because very often the staff are the people who will be using water, they'll be using electricity, and they actually see most often where the waste is occurring, so it's really important to get them on side from day one. Can't manage what you don't measure. I suppose the electricity monitoring system was key. So I suppose first of all identifying where the big energy users were, and also then to verify actually when we do something we're actually going to save money and save electricity. I suppose, and the mantra is to kind of do more with less. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Tomas. And I've driven past those, I think they're trawlers, and I now understand the connection between pelagic and that very nice green ginger chili and lime product, because I've had that at home. And, yeah, well done. Thank you very much. But it's great to see two Irish family companies, Keelings and Island Seafood, really leading both from a practice and in terms of the quality of their product and their sales, but also from the point of view of energy efficiencies. I mean, a lot of high-tech investments have gone into both companies. Wasim with cooling and with the hydro plant, and indeed now with the wind turbine at Island Seafood. So there's quite a lot going on. But looking for questions, folks. Just to, yep. Is there a mic there?
Thanks very much, Brian O'Kennedy. A question relates to your customers and their interest or engagement. Are you getting any feedback from your clients, your customers, on the efforts that you're making? Are they recognizing it in any way?
Thanks, Brian. Wasim?
Thanks, Brian, for the question. Indeed, we do have a marketing department, and we do get feedback. It's never perfect, but we are striving to perfection. And I believe with the full commitment which we have from the top level management, we are heading into the right direction.
Thanks, Wasim. And Tomas?
I suppose the way you kind of communicate it is through the Origin Green, verified members and so on. I suppose I can't talk directly about Island Seafoods because I'm BIM, but we are seeing more and more people are actually interested in actually going to the shops now and taking care of looking at sustainability. And I heard actually a guy from Marks and Spencer's a number of weeks ago, and he was saying that when a customer actually comes into my shop, they don't want a choice of either sustainable seafood or not sustainable seafood. They just expect it to be sustainable. So I suppose that's the way things are going. They just expect now that companies and people are doing the right thing. And so they are becoming more knowledgeable about it as well.
Very good. I know one of the products that regularly turns up in my house from Keeling's is those strawberries, and obviously a very sensitive product. You know, a lot of quality control goes into producing them, but when you tried to make changes to the cooling and to the temperatures, what was the reaction of the quality control department?
Thanks again, Conor, for the question. Indeed, we do not compromise on temperature inside the chill room. We never, because quality comes first. All the tweaks and the energy is injected into the system itself on how to run or to achieve the cooling demand. And there are many ways. Indeed, just about under a year ago, we have introduced a new cooling system only for Irish strawberry, just to give it an extra life shelf, an extra 2-3 weeks life shelf, and it is working perfect.
Very good.
And also by using the special lighting inside the glass houses, we are getting better quality. And with the extra CO2 from the CHP, it's all adding value.
Very good. Great to hear the CO2 being put to good use. Any further questions out there? Okay. Well, just one more, Tomas. You may want to dig out from Mick on this one now. But the reaction of the local community to the hydro plant, I heard you say it took 7 years to go from start to finish. Just, I don't know if the mic is handy to...
Yeah, Mick, do you want to maybe talk about that?
Well, the 7 years was mainly taken up with the planning permission and grid connections, permission from the CER to generate, permission to sell. The project would have been started and probably finished within a year and a half, but it took that. It was 96 before we were through all those problems. 1970 to 90s, or 90 to 96 was all taken up on getting licenses and.
So it was all licenses and permissions and bureaucracy.
It would have been handled within about a year and a half. Other than that, you know.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, we started it in 96 and we had it finished in April of 97.
And just for the other organisations in the room that might be thinking of a hydro plant or a wind turbine, what's been the reaction of your local community? Have they, relative to what you've had to put up with in terms of licenses and permissions?
The local community, there was no problem. They were quite happy with it even, but now more so with the one turbine. I would have expected there would be more problems with it, but I would have approached the local people in the area, who I'm there now for the last 29 years of that, and I would have some of the local community, well, all the local community would be work from around close by, but I would have approached the people in the households and had their views on before I even went for planning permission.
Fantastic, so direct approach.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be no point in me going without having their goodwill on it as well, and they were all very happy with the fact that there were going to be a carbon reduction of about 250 tonnes a year of carbon reduction, because they know it's a big help to the area of that, or to all of Ireland, you know.
Fantastic. Well done to both companies for all of the awards and the products that you produced and the impacts you've made in reducing your environmental impacts. We're close to lunch, so just a couple of quick announcements. Maybe I'll just see, is there any other questions? You're quite shy today, right? We'll have to see what we can do for you after lunch. So speaking about after lunch, we've got quite a